Good morning and welcome to Perspectives on Victor 98.9. It's 2 minutes past 9 o'clock this Wednesday morning, the 6th of January 2021. On Perspectives today, we would be looking at something that Nigerians woke up to again in this new year. I don't want to say not so palatable, what do you call it? Not so palatable news about the price hike or electricity tariff hikes. Again, just in November, we had a new price regime for electricity, and Nigerians were all over the place talking about how that was going to inconvenience the people and how that was going to place a lot of burden on Nigerian households, considering the fact that we also had petrol pump price hike as well at the same time. Now, in January 2021, just a few weeks after we declared a recession, the electricity tariff hikes may be going up again. This time around, they say, some are saying it's an adjustment to the price, the review done biannually. That's according to the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. I'll just read you something. Contained in the statement. The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, agency of the federal government, approved the increase in a circular titled NERC/225/2020, signed by the chairman, Sanusi Garba, dated 31st December 2020, effective January 1, 2021. The organized labor and the leading opposition People's Democratic Party described the action as deceitful and urged the government to reverse the decision or face the anger of Nigerians. Well, that's something staying there. Now the statement. NERC in a statement on Tuesday confirmed the adjustment of the electricity tariffs between 2 naira and 4 naira, saying it was to reflect the increase in inflation and foreign exchange rates. Now, the question that Nigerians are asking is, if this could happen within the space of 2 months, the tariff hike on November 1, we had that. Now it's January 5, and the announcement has been made. Apparently, the letter or the decision had been taken even in December, and for the new electricity tariff hike, price reflection to get into place this January. If that's the case, what's going to happen in the next 2 months? Will you also have another review of the rates? And as it is, can Nigerians actually afford this? That's the big question. Can Nigerians afford this, considering the fact that the inflation is not just on those it's not on some Nigerians or just around the NERC, but with Nigerians in general. As is, how many people can actually pay the current rates? What's going to happen when it's increased? I was talking to somebody a couple of days ago, and not somebody, my neighbor, and she was lamenting how the electricity tariff that we're paying now has become terrible, because in a month we spend close to 40,000 naira on electricity, and we're wondering, what do we do? What do we use with electricity? At some point it feels like, oh, you know what, let's just shut down everything. Let's make sure that we only use electricity when we schedule our electricity usage, and is that the kind of life that we want to live in Nigeria? Big questions around this. If you're talking about the UX exchange rate, the exchange rate as the reason, do we import power in Nigeria? Don't we export power to some nations? We're responsible for a nation such as Nigeria. Some time ago, we heard about how many billions Nigeria and the likes owe Nigeria on account of electricity. If this is the case, what is it that we're talking about? Foreign exchange. Isn't that a blessing for us if the foreign exchange goes higher? Because that would mean that when we export electricity, we're paid more. And we're asking these questions as laymen. We may not understand the terms and how this work, all of this works, but we know as people who have been in the industry, who have a job and a responsibility to analyze issues, we're looking at it and saying it doesn't seem so friendly at the moment for Nigerians. And I'm going to be having this conversation with my brother and friend here, Morpheus Rhymes. Morpheus, um, looking at the fact that electricity tariffs have increased now, or maybe increasing, how do you think this would affect Nigerians? Looking at the fact that we have almost everything increase in price because of the recession.
Without a doubt, Highness, the indication, the signs are already clear. It would have a lot of negative effects on the general populace. And we're talking about it from just individuals to establishments. How do we, if you, it was the same way you were trying, the same way you talked about how certain people spend as much as 40,000 per month on electricity bill. If you're going to look at it from the perspective of a business owner, what does he do for his as a business? How much does he generate from his business? Then when you look at what he's been able to generate, how much capital has gone in for him to sustain his business? Then you now look at a major factor like electricity. My brother, you need electricity for almost everything.
Exactly.
For almost everything. So if you end up, or if a businessman ends up spending a chunk of his profit on electricity, it automatically means that his business is running into the ground. Now let's leave business. Let's just think about homes, families, and all that. You have homes, and you have different people with in one home with different needs for electricity. I have heard time and time again, especially within the last 2 weeks or thereabout, that the level at the rate at which electricity units finishes, it's alarming.
So alarming.
Some people here in Kaduna that I know can't use 5,000 naira per week. My brother, we're here struggling with the effects of COVID-19. A lot of people have felt the negative impact of what COVID-19 has done to the world. People are struggling. People are still trying to, understand what they can do with their lives. A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people, experienced certain slash in their pay due to the COVID-19. So people are struggling, and now we are now experiencing an increase. First it was petrol, PMS. Then now we've come to electricity. I don't want to be a preacher of doom, but it seems like it would have a seriously negative
some people over time have said that all the loans that the nation was taking that may not reflect in the livelihoods of Nigerians would have to be paid by Nigerians, and these may be the means by which Nigerians will be paying the loans on behalf of the federal government. The electricity hike, at some point the federal government actually said that the Chinese loans were going to be paid off through electricity, and now we're seeing that, and we're wondering how can we get through this. I'm looking for practical ways for which Nigerians can survive this, because as it is, it doesn't seem like there's a going back, because that's what we saw. We saw the back and forth with Labour when the first hike came in, or the price regime came in, and after a couple of weeks, the best that could be done was we're reviewing with a few covered down, and and the price just stuck. Again, it came back, and it became fully implemented, and Nigerians are paying that now, which means that no matter what Labour is doing now, it seems like Labour just seems like a barking dog that doesn't really,
the actions.
I don't want to say toothless one, but it just doesn't reflect.
Their words don't match up with their actions.
So if this is the case, how can Nigerians go through this? Because it seems like there's nobody to fight their cause. How can Nigerians live through this? Because I'm one person who loves to believe in being progressive. How can we move through this or survive this if this price regime actually comes to stay?
And the sad part about this hike is when the word came out, a word came out to counter the initial statement. When word came out that there was an increment, I also came across a statement where NERC, countered the statement that there was no increment. A few hours later, I now saw another statement where NERC finally admitted that there were certain increments, but they said it wasn't a hike. They said it was an increment, which I don't know what the difference is at this point in time, because from what I read, you took it from 2 naira. 2 naira, you took it to 4 naira. That's double.
100%.
100% increment on electricity tariff. On what basis? These are things that, Highness, when I come across certain government policies, I try as much as possible to look inward, to try and understand what reasons they might have had for this. And when they come up with their reasons, what they envision the effect of what they are just about to do. So I'm here.
Yeah, one thing that people say is that the timing of that government may not be sensitive to the plight of the
exactly
people.
The sensitivity
just when
of the
we
government.
were coming out of the COVID-19 lockdowns, a price hike
of fuel,
and that of electricity was announced. And now we're just stepping into 2021 with a recession that has just been announced.
And the second phase of the COVID.
Phase of the COVID, and now we're saying there's a lockdown. Now, don't forget that some businesses are shut down. People who have event places, people who have bars and restaurants are not operational at the moment in some states, especially like states in Kaduna. These people are not earning, if they depend on those businesses for the livelihood.
There's nothing to depend on.
There's nothing to depend on. How will they pay all of these? Is government being insensitive at this time? What are the practical ways that we can, navigate through this as individuals and as organizations and companies and small businesses? You mentioned the fact that small businesses thrive on electricity a lot of times, and if they have to pay this much, how would they survive? How would these businesses survive?
They will have no chance in survival.
Imagine paying 100% more on what you're paying at the moment. That's actually stifling you as a businessman. What would the fate of that business be? We're looking at all of this in fairness, to the federal government. The Minister for State, Labor and Employment, Festus Keyamo, has said, they are not aware at the committee level. They're not aware of the price change or the price increase.
But how did
the rate increase?
This is there's this gap or this bridge that isn't fair, and I feel this is the reason why we Nigerians, especially the masses, have a certain level of mistrust, especially when we look towards our leaders. It's I can't factor in how possible that will be for the minister not to know what's going on, because I believe these things, when decisions are made, you run it by your sister or sister organizations or agencies and whatnot. So everybody is in sync. So hearing the Minister of State say he was not aware of this, it makes me wonder.
Exactly, because
what's going
that's
on?
A commission that's quite like under his purview. The what do you call it now? The commission, NERC, I don't believe can just do things arbitrarily.
Doesn't make sense.
Those powers into their hands and just do things. Now that committee that was set up, the 7-man committee, is still reviewing the last increase or the tariff hike, in November, and now there's a new one. What is that committee going to do? Now, he said something that they're going to have a meeting by Thursday to look into it and be on the same page with the commission. Nigerians would have to wait till Thursday to find out what the outcome of that meeting would be. These are things that actually in the 21st century could be done. There's just one conference call could bring all of these people to one place. Why do we have to wait till Thursday to make decisions or even find out what actually is happened? Because we're waiting now for the Minister of State to tell us what actually happened, with that, with the price that we're seeing. If that's the case, wouldn't we say that they're slow to make they're fast, quick to make decisions that affect the people negatively, but slow to even consider their pains and their plights and the feelings when these are done.
What you just said, Highness, has been coming up in different quarters of the country. I keep on hearing this. The government, they're quick to making decisions that have negative impact, and they're extremely slow to making decisions that have positive impact. And this is towards the masses. So it makes me wonder where we're heading as a country. Because I want to believe growth is something that we're supposed to be experiencing every day. You know how you just mentioned, I beg your pardon, you know how you mentioned how we have to wait till Thursday, which is tomorrow, to hear from the minister and whatnot. One of the things that the effect of the pandemic has been able to afford us is the way we can conduct our meetings. Almost everything is virtual right now. So the lack of communication which we have experienced between the different agencies and ministries, it just doesn't tell.
Well, if you can have the Federal Executive Council meeting hold virtually, why can we have the minister and the NERC and the committee have a virtual meeting to come to a resolution? Why do we have to wait till Thursday? And I don't know. Some matters are matters of urgency. They demand that kind of urgency to say, okay, we have to convene a meeting immediately to see how we can address this. Isn't that to me, that's saying, well, it's not so pressing, because if it was very pressing,
my point,
we would have that meeting immediately.
And the practicality of the decisions of the government is another thing we have to look at. Highness, we talked about it at the beginning, but it's something I feel we should come back to, because electricity is needed for almost anything. Let me break it down as to how needed electricity is now. In most houses that we have today, most houses depend on their borehole, their borehole system to pump water.
Exactly.
So
my house, we don't
exactly.
have any other
So this is just showing you how basic electricity is for anybody and everybody. So you come down to little things like just to get your borehole running to pump water for you, you need electricity. But you look at the hike. The hike is so much. For example, I've been around a few people and their complaints, at some point I thought they were just talking. I thought they were just talking till I now decided to pay attention to the rate at which my electricity units were moving. Then I understood that, it isn't talk anymore. And you wonder, Nigerians are literally struggling. I'm speaking generally. A few might be having a good time, but generally speaking, we are trying to put ourselves together and try to just see front, like the typical Nigerian man would say. But how possible do you think this is for Nigerians to maintain this or live with this?
What I've been thinking is maybe government wants Nigerians to actually provide electricity for themselves again, because that's what we saw with water. Exactly. At some point, Nigerians just decided, let's forget public water supply. Let's provide water for ourselves. That's what Nigerians are doing. Some Nigerians are providing roads for themselves. Some Nigerians are currently providing security for themselves. So you ask yourself sometimes, what is government actually doing for us? What's government doing for the people?
I remember at some point last year, I saw that there was a discussion on the table where borehole owners were supposed to be taxed.
Taxed, yes.
And it made the question was simple. These borehole owners wouldn't be using borehole. The amount of money required to sink a borehole, then the tank to have your borehole up and running, the amount of money used to sink a borehole, I don't think anybody would want to pay that amount of money if the water, the public water supply was functional. Nobody would want to do that.
Exactly.
The same thing applies to electricity. Nobody would want to go to alternative sources of electricity if the power grids here in the country are functional or affordable.
What I foresee in the nearest future is Nigerians disconnecting public power completely, and maybe turning to solar or the generators and all, because that's what happened with in my house. I disconnected public water completely. I We don't have anything to do with that.
I know. So now, this, if we're going to look at the future, if or when Nigerians decide to make the shift from public electricity supply to their own personal supply, I already see that would have a serious impact on our general workforce,
and not just that, on the national economy.
There's just so many things.
If Nigerians decide,
so I'm wondering why the government
electricity for themselves.
So I'm wondering why the government can't look at that and say, "Oh, look at how much we were able." Okay, fine. If, for example, the discos and all the agencies around the electricity, they say, okay, fine, they generate about, let's just give a figure, 1 billion per year. When Nigerians decide that they are tired with all this hike and uncertainties around electricity supply, and they decide to do something similar to what they've done with water, which is the borehole, I know, that money that they were able to generate, as far as I'm looking at it, they might generate little or nothing.
Exactly. Another angle that I'm looking at is the monopoly. Why do we have monopoly in the distribution of electricity?
That's another one.
If there was competition in that sector, I'm thinking that while some people are increasing, some others are looking at this as an opportunity to cash in and say, we're not going to increase. We're rather going to reduce so that people can use us, or switch to these our services. In the telecom sector, for instance, what we have today that we consider fair in pricing is because there's a bit of competition going on there. Even though we know that somehow these guys still come together and fix rates that that cuts across, there's a bit of competition going on there. These people are trying to serve you better.
It keeps everybody everybody on their toes.
Exactly. So why don't we have that in the power sector? I'm thinking that the federal government should look into that and say, we're not going to give just one person, like the Kaduna Electricity, for instance. If we had a competition in Kaduna that services as far as Sokoto and Zamfara, if we had that going on, I'm sure that by now the price or the tariffs, what we're talking about today, wouldn't be what it is. We'll take a break now. The program is still Perspectives on Invicta 98.9. When we come back, we would bring you into the conversation. Get set to let us, fill your pause on what it is that Nigerians may be experiencing in the next few days. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
We'll be right back after this quick commercial break. Are you serious? Are you serious?
It's the finest. Invicta 98.9 from Kaduna, Nigeria. Stay tuned.
What kind of talk is this anyway?
Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Perspectives on Invicta 98.9. This morning we're talking about the electricity tariff hikes that greeted us this new year as Nigerians. Well, I'm going to read you the statement by the NERC, and it reads: public notice on purported 50% increase on electricity tariffs. The attention of the mission has been drawn to publications in the print and electronic media misinforming electricity consumers that the Commission has approved a 50% increase in electricity tariffs. The Commission hereby states unequivocally that no approval has been granted for a 50% tariff increase in the tariff order for electricity distribution companies, which took effect on January 1, 2021. On the contrary, the tariff for consumers or customers on service bands D and E, customers being served less than an average of 12 hours of supply per day over a period of 1 month, remains frozen and subsidized in line with the policy direction of the federal government. In compliance with the provisions of the EPSR Act and the nation's tariff methodology for biennial minor review, the rates for service bands A, B, C, and E have been adjusted by 2 naira to 40 naira per kilowatt an hour to reflect the partial impact of inflation and movement in forex. In the light of strong public interest on this matter, the media is hereby requested to retract their earlier publications misinforming electricity consumers nationwide about a purported 50% increase in electricity tariffs. The Commission remains committed to protecting electricity consumers. Failure to deliver on committed service levels under the service-based tariff regime. The customer that has been impacted by any rate increases beyond the above provision of the tariff order should report to the Commission at customer.complaints. I'll take that again. customer.complaints@nerc.gov. All right. .gov.ng. All right. That's the statement from NERIC. Now we're asking, well, 2 to 4 naira increase. Isn't that a very significant increment in when it comes to tariff? Now don't forget that that's of a kilowatt per hour. So for every hour 2 naira to 4 naira has been added to what you use. So well, at this point we'll bring you in. We're leaving the judgments to you. We're not making judgments. All we're is ask the questions. You answer them if you have answers to them. The NERC as well can respond further to the complaints that Nigerians may have regarding this. The numbers to call this morning are 081 40,000 989. That is 081 40,000 989 and 070 87 800 989. 070 87 800 989. We're taking up calls this morning. Let's also send your WhatsApp messages on 090 989 00989. Some of you may be in the offices and may not be able to call. Just send us a WhatsApp message 090 989 00989.
Hello, good morning.
Murphy and my prince, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Perspectives. What's your perspective?
Murphy, let me start with you. Happy New Year, because we've never met this year. I'm Kure by name.
Welcome, Kure.
Yes. Thank you. When we talk, you people, anyway, you are guiding your work. But me, I know of a truth. This government, they are not for the poor. They are for the elite. But I keep on saying it every day. The time I was having my prepaid meter, 2,000 would take me 3 months. Except I want to go back to go and buy another unit. Sometimes unit almost 180 something, 200 units would take me 3 months. But the reverse is the case. After I had some 3 rooms attached to my flat, I decided to join it so that my tenant will be paying. Now they are bringing flat rate for me, 12,000 plus. Where are we going in this country? That shows that this government have failed me woefully. They failed me. Honestly, I cannot understand.
Corey, we wouldn't want you to make such blanket statements. Please try as much.
It's not a blanket statement, please.
Such critical statements like
I say it's me myself. I didn't say anybody. Me myself. Well, because I know how much I'm paying on a flat rate when I have my prepaid meter. Now you just sit down in your office and just cut 12,000 for me. Hello?
Yes, Corey, we're with you. They can hear you.
So that's what we are saying. They are not helping matters. At least by this lockdown, nobody knows when things will normalize. But the reverse is the case. They are increasing from petrol to electric. From electric now, before you know it, they will increase water board. Thank God I'm not using water board. At least I'll be minimize some things. But the God will surely take us there. They shouldn't worry. It's just 2 years. Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Corey, for calling. We're quite emotional there.
Yeah,
blame the man who pays from his pocket.
Ernest, you really don't blame anybody, but for being emotional. But at the end of the day, we still want to caution everybody to still come through and not let our emotions,
get the
cloud our reasoning. It's the radio.
Absolutely. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Please, when you call us, put down the volume of your radio even before you call so that we can hear you. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Prince.
Good morning.
And good morning to Ndisa.
Welcome to the program Perspective.
On the topic we are discussing, since on 29 of 2020 to date, as I'm speaking to the Mahuta did not even get light, not to talk of increase. And it's just very, very unfortunate. Just as somebody was calling this morning, he was talking in the GT5 review. This increase is not going to affect only us, because like we that were working in the Tesla, we know how much what contributed to the closure of this industry. High bill of our NEPA, in fact, contributed almost 50% to the closure of this industries. So I don't know whether the president is really aware of what is happening. You can see the bill from the minister and those people coordinating the electricity. There's a different deal. Let them put Nigeria at heart. We are always begging that they should put on a heart. If they want to increase it to 100 or 200%, it should be a procedure so everybody will be very happy. Today we know they sink a lot of money into NEPA. There's no improvement. A lot of people, there's no improvement everywhere. We feel up and on. So what are they increasing? Are they increasing to make the night what? Is it? Do they want to increase so that the NEPA will be stable or what? So unfortunately, I think I don't know why the parents are aware. People in the government should take Nigeria at heart, because definitely we are not happy. This is what we are going to see, what the labor is going to be a state to Nigeria Labour Congress and other, so that let them tell us what to do so that this thing will be at a stop, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling, Comrade Gabriel.
All right. All right, still taking your calls here on Perspective. We'd like to hear from you on what you think about the situation, the electricity tariff situation. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Welcome. What's your name and where you calling from?
My name is Christopher from Television.
All right, Christopher, let's hear from you.
These people, they say they increase the light of 60%. This light they are increasing, is it the darkness that they are giving us? Is it what they are increasing? Why are they so wicked like that? That they will increase free light for how many times in a month? Fuel, the same thing. These people, do you vote them there to go and wicked us or to go and keep us alive? It's not good. They should remember that God, and they should remember that nothing lasts forever, and they should remember that the power is in their hand now. May likely go out of their hands tomorrow. Then another person will come on board, and maybe that person will change the system that they are using now to wicked people. God will judge all of them one by one according to their work. God will judge all of them, and they will reap what they are showing now.
Thank you very much for calling in. First of all, but please let's keep our emotions in check. Please, we don't want your emotions to get the best of your comments. You can also suggest ways to Nigerians and even to government as how we can address this at this point. What can labor do, or what is expected of labor or the organized labor as it is in Nigeria? What can individuals do to prevail on against any form of increments that would affect the masses negatively? We don't know what to call it now, because the NRC is saying it's not a price increase, it's not a 50% increase, it's not this, it's not that, and
we're waiting for clarity.
Yes, they're saying it's a 2 naira to 4 naira increment. We don't know what that is, and you may
from the layman's perspective, it might
an increase.
Exactly.
For us,
exactly.
If you're increasing. How many hours do we have in a day? 24 hours per day. So if I have a 2 naira increment on every hour that I use electricity, depending on even the wattage, because depends on the watts, how many watts you use per hour. So please share with us your thoughts. Please manage your emotions quickly, as quick as possible, as rather.
Morpheus, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to India. I'm Engineer Emmanuel.
Okay, engineer, go ahead.
It is unfortunate that this country has those in authority does not consult the people. The only thing you see, they will just impose something and you have no choice than to dance to that tune. It's not done like that. Yesterday, I asked her to try and get me a card. Only for me, for them, 1,000 units supposed to be that time 60 something. Now it's just 15 or 16 units. They've got 6. And you see, these people, the thing does not bother them because they don't pay with their own money. subsidization, the taxpayers' money, they enjoy all these free things. So that's why they put things in place, and they don't care how the common man feels. And even the life, if you can get like 247 on it out, and they're giving you a deal that is reasonable, is understandable. Before I was using a flat rate, and the bill was so much, it was too high. Then I went, let me go for the prepaid meter. They say they have distributed the prepaid meter, but I bought my own prepaid meter almost 50-something thousand naira. For God's sake, a country, everything you buy with your money, what does the government do for you? What did you enjoy as dividends of democracy from the government? You pay water bill, you pay light bill, even the security, you have to contribute money to pay dollar. Then what is the need of the government? They say government for the people now, for the people, and I don't see that playing out. They will just come, they increase it with the fuel price, they increase it without consulting the people. For God's sake, if they are in the corridor of power, it's a privilege. It's not that it's a right, it's a privilege. And all the things they enjoy it with the tax on the detriment of the taxpayers. And only the common man that feels the heat. They don't feel the heat. If there is no light, they have a standby generator. They don't buy diesel, they don't buy fuel. Everything is done for them free of charge. So they don't know what the common man needs. They will just wake up in the morning that they have increased. Whether 1 naira, 2 naira, is it not an increment? No, please. Let me have it at the back of the mind. But as I said this morning, every one of us will give proper account of whatsoever we do here on earth. We will give it before our maker. If we can give accountability to the people, there is somebody waiting for each and every one of us that will give proper accountability. Give the people the basic care that they will enjoy. They won't do that. Only to inflict hardship, pain to the people. If all of us to say God bless the country, we begin to say something that we ought not say. If other clients, they are enjoying things. All these basic things they enjoy. But ours, what did you enjoy? Good morning. God bless you this morning.
Okay, thank you very much, Engineer. And I'm honest to taking your calls. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, welcome.
My name is Kingsley. I'm calling from Savo.
Okay, go ahead. Let's hear you.
Honestly, the truth must be told. Nigerians are not happy concerning this increment in tariffs. People are suffering. There's no work. The little work people are doing is not even enough to feed their family. And somebody will wake up and increase electric tariffs. So, I want to tell the leaders, they should remember their campaign promises they made in 2015. And also remember that prosperity will change them after this regime. Anything they are doing, they should have it at the back of their mind that Nigerians are suffering. Thank you very much.
Thank you again for calling. We're going to take a few more. Let's check your messages. Do we have them?
Okay, we're yet to receive any message on WhatsApp. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Welcome to Perspectives. What's your name?
I'm speaking from Garavarido.
We didn't get your name. Say again.
Yes.
Say it again, please.
It's speaking from Garavarido.
All right, go ahead, sir.
Honestly, I want this very increase in data. Honestly speaking, Nigeria, we are not happy. This is what we have been saying. Labour, I don't know. I don't know. If Labour will have stand on their stand, I believe this will have not to be very stage. But Nigeria, the leaders are not helping issues. Things have been compounded, and nothing is going right. Now the common man has no right about the life. Last month, a letter was brought to us for 30,000. We don't know. Not even consume anything. They take away that day, 2 days, there is no land. And that amount is being paid. And now they have increased. Well, God will save us from this situation. And our leaders should understand that one day they will drop. And everything that they are doing is the account of the law. And God will actually reward them for what they are doing. If they do it, good and fine. If they do it wrong, there is a repercussion. May God help us.
Thank you, Elder, for calling. Well, Murphy's want to read us that.
Okay, we have a message on WhatsApp. This is from Joe Gwaza from Goningora. His message reads, "Good morning, guys. The newly the new hike of electricity price is really unfortunate. How could they increase by 50%? Government and the NLC should please do the needful to bring stability and reduce the power billing. Things are not really easy for Nigerians. Electricity is very important. Very true, very true, very true. So still taking your calls. Let's see how many more calls we can squeeze in. Numbers remain 081 40989 or 070 Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Welcome. What's your name and where you calling from?
How are you?
Oh, very well. What's your name, sir?
I'm Luka Adu, calling from Marabarido.
Thank you for joining us. Go ahead and let's hear your thoughts.
I don't know when Nigerians will smile. I am 65 years old. I have never seen the rate of mortality like last year, 2020. And what transpired to that is the suffering of Nigerians. People no longer sleep because they are thinking of what to do, what to eat. When they are sick, where will they get money to go to the hospital? Frankly speaking, Nigerians are suffering, and that's why there's higher mortality rate. We don't really know what will happen 2021. People are really suffering. People are dying. People die before they are dead. So I don't know what's really happening in this country. Talking about light, NEPA, even the countries that Nigeria supplied with power, at least enjoying power more than Nigeria. What are we really thinking of in this country? What our elites are really thinking about Nigerians? In fact, the rate of mortality is getting higher. Now, hardly a Nigerian reaches 60 years by birth now. People are dying of suffering. Please, NLC and the government should sit in a round table and find a solution to this issue of power. You see, yesterday they came to my house. If you look at the way these boys are humiliating, intimidating people, they are in two groups. The other group with a ladder, another group with POS, intimidating people. I don't really know. I don't really understand. When are we really going to love in this country? When are we going to be happy in this country? Have a nice day.
Thank you very much for sharing that with us. We'll take a few more. We'll take one more and bring the program to a close this morning. The numbers again, 081 40,000 989 and 070 800 989. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you for joining us. What's your name?
Francis calling.
Francis, go ahead, let's hear you.
Honestly, it's quite unfortunate what is happening in Nigeria today. The news that broke out this morning is something that shocked every citizen of this country. And as a citizen of this nation, I'm so disappointed and as I always be, because in this government came to power, it has been from one disappointment to the other to the citizens. This is something that happened as 2012, that subsidy was removed by previous government, and protests brought out everywhere in northern region, and now nobody's talking. Just imagine increment that was done 3 months ago, and few people talk.
Oh, we lost connection. Please try to call us back if you can. Not 081 40,000 989 070 87 800 989. The final call on the program this morning. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, welcome. What's your name?
Yeah, we got your call from Marabarido.
All right, go ahead. Let's hear you, please.
The issue of increasement in this tariff, look at yourself and really attend to the government. Because we discover that there is nothing that's possible that.
Well, the call's dropping out. You see, poor quality service delivery sometimes. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
So please.
Thank you for joining us. What's your name?
Thank you very much. This is Dave from Kubanda.
All right, your last caller. Please make it.
The cardinal aim and objective of this very government, before they came on board, was to alleviate poverty. But why is it that making life difficult for the common man? The goodwill message of Mr. President was to increase the electricity tariff for the year. Why is it like that? It's quite unfortunate. There is nothing that is coming out of this government, not to favor the masses. They are only making life difficult, aggravating poverty. They promise to alleviate poverty, and on the contrary, why is it like that? Does it say like this? Instead of Nigeria progressing, we are retrogressing. We claim to be big brother Africa out there, and Nigeria is zero. They should improve their ways, please. It's quite unfortunate. I never expect all this happening in this country. Look at the increment, just from January or so, increment in the tariff. This is a record development. We can't continue like this. Our leaders should take their ways and work for the betterment of the masses. Not for themselves. They are too selfish. And we can't continue like this. Thank you very much.
And thank you for calling us. This is where we will drop the anchors on the program this morning. It's been Perspectives on Invicta 98.9. There is a price increment. The NARC saying 2 to 4 naira, review on price or what do you call it, the tariffs. We'll keep our fingers crossed to see what comes out in the coming days. There would be a committee meeting by tomorrow, and right after that, we'll be back here to talk more on the issue. Thank you again for being a part of Perspectives today. My name is Iheanacho Prince.
And I remain Morpheus Major Idoko. Coming up next is the Spotlight. Stick with us and stay victorious.